you're in the state of Texas. You guys went through a storm, lost all your power. So we had to reschedule you for today. Would you do us a favor? Tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? What drives you? What's your passion? Tell us about you.
Yes, so I actually grew up, and I like to say that I was just given this extraordinary gift of entertainment. I grew up auditioning for movies, music, plays, and all types of different things. I've always been an artsy kid. So as I grew up, I decided to still stay in entertainment. And so I did a lot of shows. I put together a lot of great musical works. And recently, a couple of years ago, I started working at a radio station and decided that I could see myself doing this long term. And so I wanted to branch out on my own and start my own radio show so I could connect better with people and help people.
Tell us a little bit about your radio show. What kind of show is it? Is it a music show? Is it a talk show? Tell us about what you do.
Yes, so I consider it a radio talk show, and that's because most of your radio format is just minimal talking, but mostly music. But on my show, I do have music, but I have a special segment where I talk about everything. There's no stone left untouched. I talk about everything. I've interviewed mainstream and underground artists, any walk of talent. I've interviewed athletes. I feel like everyone has a story, and I just love to tap in on your story and get it out to the world.
All right. So getting you to talk tonight is going to be a piece of cake because this is what you do for a living.
That's exactly right.
You talk a lot about service and helping others and reaching out. Tell us about where that passion comes from and how that is applied to your life.
Yes, so I am proud to say that I grew up in the church. My mom was actually a pastor. I didn't tell my friends about this at school, but my mom was a pastor. And so at our church, we had to feed the homeless every third Sunday. So I grew up donating, feeding the homeless, and I grew up doing that in my adult life as well. So giving back to the community is very important to me. From fundraisers, I was even blessed to perform for the governor fundraising event. So I definitely believe in giving back to the community and helping people the best way that I can. It's just in my spirit.
When we talk about the Creative Society, we're really talking about humanity and helping one another. How do you see personal responsibility blending with service to others?
It's so very important. And I tell people this all of the time. It is so important to take a few minutes out of your life to help someone else. You do not know what someone else is going through. We all go through things that we just don't talk about. So I think it's very important to reach out to people almost on a daily basis. I find myself doing this. It's okay to call someone and just say, how are you doing? How is your mental state of mind? How can I help you with something? It's just something that I preach. And even though I live by this, I try to pass it on to everyone else just to help people. It's like a daily thing.
Ms. Blue, when you first heard of Creative Society and first saw it, what was it that drew you to the project that made you think, you know what, I kind of want to get involved. I kind of want to be on live conversation and talk more.
Well, when I first saw the Creative Society, I was introduced to it by Miss Olga. And she was very professional, and she contacted me and she said, I would like you to read and do your research. And I'm a big research person. So I said, I would do that. And I read and I researched and I said, wow, this is exactly what I tried to do in my own personal life. So to see you all doing something that I take pride in doing almost already, I was excited. Like I told her, I said, I have to be a part of this. What do I need to do next? And I literally read all of the information and was just like, when you can identify with more than 3 or 4 of your goals and points, I was like, this is speaking to me. Like I had to get on here and talk.
we're going to talk about the 8 foundations later in the show. But I want to kind of give up a little bit, or I should say, give us a background of how important is it that we as humanity actually start coming together. You and I are both United States of America. And we know right now we are, like some of the other places in the world, we're really polarized. How do you think the Creative Society will help us connect with people who look, think, and believe different?
I think that the Creative Society will help with people that think differently, because we are moving in a force. It's not just one person, it's not just two, it is several people with a good heart that notice that there is a problem, notice that there is a division, and they're doing something positive. And when you're moving in a large force that is spreading positivity, it's going to make people do one or two things. You're going to want to either be a part of it, or you're going to want to turn your head. And I don't see people wanting to turn their head as much as I see them wanting to say, hey, I noticed that I can be a better person in my own personal life. There are things that I would like to change, but these are people that also are fighting for the same goals, and I would like to be a part of that. So I definitely think that the Creative Society can help anyone that's already dealing with hardships and already sees things. I mean, we talk about this with our families in private. So I'm sure that people would love the fact that there are several other people that's feeling the same way. It's just a really great thing to have going on.
I love how you said that, when you have other people feeling the same way. And I think that's what drew me here, was the idea that, and even right now, I mentioned before, our producers in Moldova and in over 180 countries around the world, this conversation's happening. And
that's amazing.
It's right. Amazing is we start to look past our differences, don't we? And we start focusing in on value and not beliefs or likes or dislikes. How important is it for you to connect with other human beings, regardless of their beliefs or thoughts on values? How do you see that happening in your own life? Or do you have an example from how you're doing it with your radio show and with what you do? How does that play out in your life?
Well, I've always been a person that tried very hard not to judge people. I have had friends of all type of different, backgrounds, ethnicities. I do not discriminate. Also with my background though, it was not uncommon for me to be this way, because I went to a blended high school. I grew up in a blended neighborhood. So I've always had to deal with people that are different from me. And I realized that just because you're different from me does not mean we can't have a conversation where we learn from each other. I'm really big on just learning from someone else anyway, and finding out how you do something, how maybe I could, put that in terms of my life, and you might help me. So by not judging people and listening to their story, which coincides with my radio show, when someone comes in for an interview and they're telling me what they've been through, I don't judge and say, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. I really listen, because you could learn so much from someone else. It does not matter if you're different. I mean, I think being blended, I think if we were all the same, I think the world would be very boring. Anyway, I am very happy about diversity. You just learn so much.
Yeah, and I agree with you so much. I think connecting with people, I like how you said that, Ms. Blue, because
thank you.
Your point of learning from others. It's not about teaching others, it's about learning from others. What do you think? Isn't that where we begin to connect?
That is definitely where we begin to connect. We do not connect by me telling you, Steve, you better do it this way. This is what I read and it's right. We don't connect that way. It's definitely about, hey, Steve, I read this. What did you think about this? This is what I feel about this. And how can we move from that? And gathering something that will take me somewhere in my life that, somewhere that I didn't know that I could be, just because I listened to something that you told me, vice versa if you're learning something that I told you.
I I teach security officers a lot. We have this diversity discussion, and I teach, and I always ask the question, is diversity a strength and a powerful asset of a corporation or an organization? And usually people just give the corporate line. And of course, everybody just says yes. No one's ever going to say no. They're afraid. One young man one day gave me a one-word answer, and he said, maybe. And I thought, what do you mean maybe? I asked him, I said, what do you mean maybe? You got to pick one. He goes, I guess if you do it right. And I thought, what did you say? He goes, if you do it right. He says, you have to choose to allow people to connect with you. You got to do it right. Otherwise, it's no good. And it was one of the most powerful things I've thought of. And I think the Creative Society, the 8 foundations, we're going to see a quick video about this here in a second. We're going to talk about some of these foundations together. Let's talk about doing connection right as we go forward in the rest of this conversation. So I'm going to ask our producer to play the short video with the 8 foundations, and then we're going to talk about a few of them as we go forward.
Okay. Nice.
Those are powerful. And for those that are watching, if you're not familiar with the Electra platform, and those 8 foundations were developed from over 8 years, 8 or 9 years of volunteers from around the world asking questions to people, asking the question, what society do you want to live in? How do you want to live? What's important to you? And when they began the conversations, it was kind of like, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if people around the world think differently. Or will they say different things? Well, what kept happening in country after country was the same data kept coming back. I want my basic needs met. I want my children to be safe. I don't want to worry about war. I want freedom. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to have an education for my children. And all these things kept coming back. And over 8, 9 years of interviews, millions of people being talked to by just volunteers saying, hey, let me ask you a question about life. The 8 foundations were developed. Are they perfect? Are they all-inclusive? No. But it's what the people around the world said, I want to live in this world. I want to live in a world where human life is valued. I want to bring up, I'm asking our producer to bring up, we talked before we came on live, you mentioned that human freedom, value number 2, really kind of struck a chord with you. And yes. I want to have our producer bring up human freedom. I'm going to read that. And Ms. Blue, I'd like you to talk about why that's so important to you.
Sure.
Human freedom. Every human is born with the right to be a human being. All people are born free and equal. Everyone has the right to choose. There can be no one and nothing on earth above a human. Freedom and rights. The implementation of human rights and freedoms must not violate the rights and freedoms of others. So I'd like to talk, why is this, Ms. Blue, why did this one really touch your heart? And how does this resonate and connect with you? Tell us a little bit about this and your story, if you will, please.
Sure. With the human freedom, I feel like I said before, I've had friends of all walks of life, and a lot of people are discriminated in society because of their sexual orientation. And that has been a very big issue. When I have interviews, it is sad when someone thinks that they can't get an interview because of their sexual orientation. And I feel like you should love everyone. So that's important for me, to not have people discriminated because of their orientations, because of their race. Just the freedom to be themselves in this society is so important. You don't want to blackball someone or make them feel like a black sheep, like they can't be themselves. It's a very unhappy place to be. And I would never want to experience that, nor put anyone in those shoes.
In a creative society, what part of that are you looking most forward to?
Possible that I can have human freedom, that I can be happy, that I can learn from someone else. So I'm really looking forward to meeting people from all walks of life.
Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech was extremely powerful in many ways and still given today around the world, talking about being judged on the quality of character, not on the outward appearance. A day when, everyone would be living together. That's the creative society dream as well. What can we do as one individual to start making that happen today? If you were to give advice to say, you know what, I want to, but I don't know how, what would you teach them? What would you like to encourage people to do to help others feel free, to help others not feel judged?
I encourage people, or I would say to people, listen and not judge, not be so quick to judge. A lot of us listen to speak, listen so I can give my opinion. Though some people do not talk to you because they necessarily want your opinion, they want to know that they are accepted. So I would just say, talk to people without judging them and just listen to what they have to say and learn. I mean, you can always ask questions if you want to know something, but just knowing that they are a person too, I think it just starts with you in your everyday life.
How would you talk to certain groups of people who, and I say groups, about welcoming those who are different? If I want to step into a group who looks different to me, but I'm afraid of how I'll be accepted, what would you, we spend a lot of time self-segregating, don't we?
True. Yes, we do.
What can we do as subgroups to invite or let others feel welcome into our subgroup?
So I was the queen of this in school, actually. I was an athlete, so they had this thing where you could not sit with us if you're not an athlete. Well, everyone doesn't want to play sports, and it's okay. Some people are bookworms. So what I always did, and again, it starts with you, Steve, what I always did was, you can sit with me, and then if the popular person or someone else said, no, they can, then I just told that person and put my foot down that they can sit with us. Like, it's not going to hurt anyone for them to sit with us. Like, it starts with you, because people already kind of like you said before, we kind of really put ourselves on standards sometimes, or each other. If all it takes is one person that has influence to say, she can join this group, or it would be beneficial if she came with us this time, or she sat in on this session. You know, you have the power to influence people. Some of us don't use that gift, but we really have the power to influence each other to be more positive. And that's one of the things that I would do. I would just be the one to start that whole, situation to change.
I heard two powerful truths there, and I appreciate that. One is, you talked about it starts with the one person accepting somebody else, but two, it starts with speaking up on the behalf of another.
Yes.
And I like how you said everyone has influence. Sometimes people don't choose to use it.
That is very true.
That is, Ms. Blue, that's such a powerful statement, because now we can take our power back, can't we? We can say, listen, yeah, I'm going to start by connecting with someone who looks, thinks, and believes different than me. And if you don't like it, well, it's too bad, because I'm going to speak up and say, you know what, we need to listen to this person. It's okay. They can be in our group. They can sit at.
That's true.
They can sit at our table. I love how you said that. They can sit at our table.
Thank you. Yes, they can. That's how you learn. That is how you learn.
That's that powerful image of sitting at the table with other people who are different than you, or welcoming those to sit at your table. That's an amazing image. And I think maybe that's what we should start with, is inviting a few people to come sit at our table. I'm going to take that with me today, Ms. Blue, because I love that image of inviting someone else to sit at your table. I want to pull up equality and justice. It's the other thing that you had mentioned that touched your heart. I'm going to read that, equality and justice, and we're going to dive into that a little in depth and have kind of a conversation about this. Let me just read that to everybody. All natural resources to humans are fairly distributed among all people. Monopolization of resources and their irrational use is prohibited. These resources are fairly distributed among the citizens of the entire earth. A human is guaranteed employment if he or she so desires. Pay for an identical position, specialty, or profession should be the same all over the world. Everyone has the right to private property and income within limits of an individual's capitalization amount set by society. Let's talk about equality and freedom, but let's talk about it, or equality and justice. Let's talk about it from a global perspective, if you don't mind, Ms. Blue. How do we begin to bring equality and justice on a global scale?
That is a challenge because we have to rely on our government, unfortunately, and they don't always make the best decision for the citizens. I think it's just one of those things because we're all kind of segregated between credit and education. It's so many barriers set on these things that if you don't have this, you can't get this type of job. It kind of starts with the higher up globally, and that's for everyone. I'm not just talking about one race. I've seen this experience by everyone. It's just breaking down those barriers of, things that's stopping you or hindering your process and growth as a person.
So we're in the informational stage of the Creative Society, which is sharing the project. It seems like, though, as you said, if it does rely on certain governments, it's up to us, the people, then to find politicians who will then take on these 8 foundations and put them in office. So it's looking for leaders who say, this is my platform, the 8 foundations, and for us as the people to rally behind those people and say, all right, do you believe in human value, human freedom, equality, and justice? Here's the 8 foundations I believe in. Do you? I'll vote for you if you do.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I actually read that on the Creative Society about the leadership and people choosing those type of leaders that coincide with what you believe in and what you stand for. And I do think that's very important if we could do that, not just based on one political party, but someone with the actual beliefs, especially if they coincide with the 8, ideas of the Creative Society. I think that would be a great start.
As a radio personality, as someone in the entertainment industry, how do you see yourself becoming the influence to help the next generation begin to implement and to live out today the Creative Society ideals?
Yes, well, I definitely believe that it starts with a visual. So you can talk about it all day, but if you're not breaking it down, what exactly are the fundamentals of the Creative Society, then it's kind of like you're leaving people in the dark. So for me, what I would do is I would post about it. I would share daily each creative idea from the society. And then I would give a breakdown, and I would learn as much as I possibly could so that I could come, do videos and I could do hostings and teach people. Because again, I do believe that no matter how big or small your platform is, you have influence to do the right thing and teach people something different. They're already watching. So why not show them something that they haven't seen before and just teach them? Just like Olga did with me. I could send an email, read this, let's talk about it. What didn't you understand? This is how I feel. So definitely, I think it's about teaching them, especially while I'm on my platform, about the Creative Society.
Ms. Blue, I'm smiling right now because I'm just picturing Olga and some of the other volunteers taking notes going, okay, reach out to Ms. Blue. What do we do? Here's what I need you to do. I can see your name going on a list of all the things that need to happen. As we speak, I know Olga's like going, oh, she said these things.
Awesome.
I can picture it in my mind. The back, all these volunteers thinking, oh, wow. I feel like we're getting warmed up, but we've already burned through almost 30 minutes. It's been,
wow.
Yeah, it is wow. This has been such a powerful time. I want it to go forever, but the producer is going to yell at me pretty soon, so I can't. But I would like to ask you this. We believe in the rule of 6 handshakes. It's connecting with people. May there be somebody in your circle that one day we might be able to connect and bring on a show.
Absolutely. I have a few wonderful people that I have already spoken about the Creative Society and told them that I thought that they would be a great role model because they are always in their everyday life practicing positivity and reaching out to people and networking. So I most definitely will be linking you with them.
That sounds wonderful. Before we begin to close out here, Ms. Blue, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule. I know that the variety of things you do keeps you busy. And I just want to say thank you for allowing us to share some of your time with you. It's been such an honor. But is there something that maybe I've forgotten to ask you, or is there something special you'd like to wish our audience to close us out here this evening?
Yes. Well, first off, Steve, thanks for having me. I think this was very positive. I pride myself in being a humanitarian, and I just want people to be positive and go in it wanting to learn and wanting to understand that we can make a better society if we all build together. It's very possible, and I'm just excited to be a part of this.
We are definitely excited to have you a part of it. If you're watching, you can be involved in Creative Society. Just go to alatraunites.com and click on the Creative Society project. All you have to do to get involved is just click the button. I want to be involved. It's all volunteers, meaning we don't take donations. There's no staff. No one wants your money. You'll never be asked for money. It's simply click and say, I'm in. I want to be involved. What can I do? All of us from around the world are simply volunteering. In fact, we're going to go out of the show today with, on March 20th, just a few days from now, just 10, 11 days from 8 days from now, 10 days from now. I don't know what day it is. We have an online global event. We're going to talk about what all the religions of the world talk about bringing us together. Why, since the beginning of time, of all the prophets and the different religious figures, been talking about what the world could look like, the positive principles from all the different religions. What did the prophets dream of is the conference theme. And we're going to bring people from around the world together online to talk about their creative society. So I want to thank you all for visiting and coming here. Ms. Blue, again, I want to thank you for being here. I am so excited to stay connected with you, and I hope the rest of our audience is too. I'm going to ask our producer to send us out with a promo video for the upcoming conference. So thank you and good night, everybody.
Thank you all.
Unprecedented event of present history. Initiative that comes from people around the world. Main project of humanity. People stopped being silent about urgent issues of our society. How it all started. May 2019, International Online Conference, Society, The Last Chance. 140 countries of the world, hundreds of thousands of people online, hundreds of broadcast platforms, translated into 7 languages simultaneously. If we all want to live in peace, why do we have a world of violence and destruction? It is up to us to build a different world. How can we do it? December 2020, Creative Society. United we can. 180 countries of the world. Millions of people online. Thousands of streaming platforms. 35 languages simultaneously translated. People have voiced today's reality and what they truly desire. And it is the Creative Society. All cultures have an image of the ideal world people want to live in. A world that prophets talked about. The time has come when we can make it real. How will we use this chance? Let's meet March 20th, 2021, 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Time. International online event of global scale. Creative Society, what the prophets dreamed of. This is the day the world will unite to find out the truth, join the entire humanity, and spread the message.